Today we're going to be talking about Erisa and how you can use this right here to kick insurance carrier butt. Now, when I was growing up, I used to love to watch Chuck Norris movies, Bruce Lee movies, and I guess that was really before the Van Damme. But how I used to like watching them stand up for what was right. I'm going to show you today how to kick an insurance carrier's butt without having to use any of these screen actors right here, just by following the law. Now, exactly what is Erisa? Erisa confuses people. In fact, some people, they have no idea. I said the vast majority of people have no idea what ERISA is. If you ask people working in the medical field, hospital administrators, what is ERISA? You might have someone tell you it protects insurance carriers. So if you talk to a CPA, ERISA has something to do with a retirement account. So you talk to a doctor's office. Is it some kind of an investment thing? Or if you talk to somebody that's actually filing medical claims, they may tell you it doesn't affect them as they only file medical claims. Boy, are they wrong. ERISA applies to the medical claims every day. In fact, more than 80% of all medical claims being filed by doctors, billers, hospitals, nursing homes, etc., and more than 80% of them, excluding Medicare and Medicaid, are ERISA claims. When we're trying to figure out is it an ERISA claim or not, there's really only two questions you have to ask. The first question is, was the health insurance policy provided by an employer on this claim? And if the answer is yes, we move on to the next question. If the answer is no, you got someone out and bought insurance on their own, then it's not ERISA. But if the answer is yes, then we move on. The second question is the employer the government or church? Because if it's the employer is not the government or church, it's an ERISA claim. And conversely, if it's if it is a government or church, it's not ERISA. But the vast majority of people, more than 87% of people, or more than 86% of the people in the country, work for somebody that's not government or church. So we'll go back to that. Number one, insurance provided by an employer. Doesn't matter if it's your employer, your husband's employer, your wife's employer, etc. If you're getting insurance through an employer, that's the number one question right here. And it doesn't matter if it's a union, full-time, part-time, non-union, etc. Doesn't apply, does not matter, as long as the insurance is provided by an employer. Doesn't matter if it's self-funded or not self-funded. It doesn't matter if it's an HMO, a PPO, an ACO. Doesn't matter. If it's insurance being provided, health insurance that's going to be covering you, then it's going to be number two question we go to. And number two, is the employer the government or the church? If the government is the employer, doesn't matter if it's city, county, federal, parish, whatever, then it's not ERISA. But the vast majority of people working for somebody other than a government. They're working in manufacturing, they're working in sales, they're working in transportation, etc. That's not government. And by the way, workers' compensation does not apply. It doesn't matter because workers' comp is not an ERISA claim. It's not an ERISA policy. And as far as whether or not it's a church or not, what kind of church? It doesn't matter. If it's Catholic, a Protestant, or a Baptist, or a Church of God, it doesn't matter. Any denomination, if they're the employer, and like a church hospital, a church school, etc., then it's not going to be ERISA. And like I said, it doesn't matter even if it's the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. So we determine your patient is working for Walmart. Walmart's not the government, not church, so it is an ERISA claim. They're working for Texas Instrument. It's an ERISA claim. They're working at the local grocery store. It's an ERISA claim, as long as the insurance is provided by the employer. So now then, how does ERISA help you with the insurance claims? Well, first off, tell me about your insurance claims, because they're never your insurance claims unless you're the patient. They're always the patient's claims that you're filing on the patient's behalf. They're never your claims. You got to remember that. I may have a doctor tell me, but wait a minute, the patient assigned a claim to me, so doesn't that make it my claim? No. The payment may be made to you because the patient assigned it to you, but it's the patient's or policyholder's claim, which is a good thing because that gives us more power. The patient has a contract with the insurance carrier that is protected by the federal government. You may have a contract with the insurance carrier, but that cannot interfere with the contract between the patient and the insurance carrier. And you may have a contract with the patient. Again, that cannot interfere with the protection that the federal government is giving the policy that's provided from the insurance carrier to the patient. There is nothing you can do to override that. No matter how stupid of a contract you might sign as a doctor or a hospital, you cannot interfere with that contract that is protected by the federal government. That's cool. And the insurance carriers know this, but they also know that you don't. The legal department, the CEO and the COO of the insurance carrier, they know all about ERISA. But the people you talk to when you call in on the 800 line, they don't have a clue what ERISA is, and they don't need to know it. But first off, why are you even calling in on the 800 line? You should never, ever talk to those people in the claims department. I never talk to them. No matter what doctor I'm trying to help in the carrier or what in the country, I'm talking to the CEO or their office, never the claims department. No, I have the question pop up a lot. But what about the state laws? I mean, my state says this law. Florida has an HMO balanced billing law, which does not apply if it's an ERISA claim. That means it does not apply on more than 80% of the claims outside of Medicare or Medicaid that's being filed in Florida. But unfortunately, 99% of the people in Florida don't know this. But the insurance carriers do, so they take advantage of it. So if ERISA says something different than the state law, ERISA takes precedence on ERISA claim. If ERISA supports the state law, we use the state law to our advantage. That means you need to know both ERISA and the state laws. Now, there's instances where you're going to win more than 99% of the time if you use ERISA to win. For instance, carrier sends a check to the patient on an assigned claim you took assignment on. You're in one of those 34 states that mandatory assignment laws have prevailed by the insurance company or the insurance legislative body has pushed those through, so therefore the carriers have to honor assignment. So you use ERISA, send a simple letter to the legal department of the CEO explaining it, that you know what the law is, and show them a district federal court case that has been set as a precedent, and the carrier will have to pay you, and then the carrier has to go back to the patient to get the money if they want it. You get a letter from the insurance carrier saying you have 14 days to pay them, or they will recoup it from another claim. That's illegal. And the insurance carriers know this, but they know that 99% of people working in medical offices do not know it's illegal, so they get away with it. Simple little facts to the CEO of the insurance carrier showing them what the law was, and the fact that one of the major carriers got fined $350 million last March of this, 2014. Boom, you stop them from recouping from you with the simple facts. Carrier says a procedure is investigational. Who gets to determine if something's investigational? Oh, the patient's policy determines that. So if the carrier did not put it in the patient's policy, bingo, it can't be classified as investigational. You need to know where to look on the policy. Carrier says a claim is beyond timely filing. Who's timely filing? Doesn't matter what kind of a contract you were dumb enough to sign with a carrier, that cannot override the patient's policy. The patient's policy almost always says 180 days or sometimes 1 year, or in my case, I have Blue Cross Blue Shield. I have 1 year from the end of the year, the calendar year in which the service was received. So if I go get a service today being January 5th, whatever it is, of 2015, then I have all the way to December 31st of 2016 to file the claim. And who else has that policy? Who else has that time? The doctor does. Because, again, it's my policy. It's my claim. Carrier says participator, we're going to pay the patient right there. No, you can use ERISA on that right there by following the law. Carrier downcodes the claim. I very seldom see a carrier successfully downcode a claim when you use ERISA and a simple facts to be able to let them know what the law is. Well, a carrier says it's bundled by using whose policy. You can use ERISA and win on those right there more than 95% of the time. Or the carrier says something's not medically necessary. Again, you can use ERISA on that. Who determines it's medically necessary? And by the way, it doesn't even matter. By the way, the medical necessity thing, I can show you a thing on Medicare too. I'm going to be doing a separate webinar on that one too. But you're going to win on these right here as long as you use ERISA. You just need to know what the rules are. The carriers are getting away with it because you don't know what the rules are. So they get away with it because no one's there to stop them. Once you know and you send a simple fax saying, hey, we know the rules, back off, or we'll go to this federal district court. And they immediately do because they're afraid of the courts. They don't want to be fined. Now, this has been a very mini webinar right here. Just a few minutes right here. We've gone over this thing right here in less than 10 minutes. But I have full 1 hour webinars that shows you and gives you exact letters that you can use on my website. We've got a book, Medical Practice Guide to ERISA, that Steve Verno and I wrote. Well, I'm in the process of doing another book right now. It's basically How to Kick an Insurance Company's Butt. It's going to be the name of it, unless my wife makes me soften it up some. We have monthly newsletters on my website as well. Just visit www.donself.com or give us a phone call. There's a phone number on the screen. Or you can sit there and send, if you wish to, you can also send an email to Crystal and I, Crystal at donself.com and Donself at donself.com, and we'll be glad to reply. Crystal's my daughter-in-law, hard worker. She'll take care of you. She will try to help you any way we can. Again, donself.com. Thank you so much.